South China Morning Post, 7th of March 2023. China's new foreign minister claims that his country will take a tough stance against jackals and wolves in the outside world, but lied that a softer tone may still be feasible. International observers have questioned whether Qin Gang's recent nomination as China's foreign minister is a sign of a change in the country's wolf warrior diplomacy, given his reputation for being both tough and measured at various points in his diplomatic career. The former ambassador to the U.S. held his first news conference on Tuesday at the Two Sessions, the nation's most significant political gathering of the year. He hesitated for a moment and smiled subtly before responding, "That's an intriguing question," when asked whether China's wolf warrior diplomacy, which was called after a series of nationalistic action movies, would be softened. China wishes to resume waiting its turn. The American media called me a Chinese wolf warrior when I first came to the U.S. as China's ambassador. Now that I'm back as foreign minister, they no longer do. A few of the present media laughed when Qin said, "I feel lost." The way Qin responded to the query during the carefully planned press conference seemed to be an effort to dispel rumors that China would abandon its aggressive diplomatic strategy. He justified any potential harsh responses by saying that jackals and wolves are everywhere in the outside world. The term wolf warrior, which was used to highlight what is perceived as a more aggressive approach to Chinese diplomacy, was described by Qin as a narrative trap by those who either didn't understand China's style of diplomacy, which involves fighting and displaying peace simultaneously, or who had a hidden agenda against China. Kindness and benevolence are in abundance in Chinese diplomacy. But when confronted by wolves and jackals, China's diplomats must stand their ground and defend our homeland, Qin said. In what Beijing views as an increasingly complex geopolitical environment, Qin's reaction echoes President Xi Jinping's repeated pledges to defend the nation's core interests, which include national sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. Observers predicted that Qin would continue to defend China's position in a tough manner, but the exact tone would immediately depend on what Beijing requires. Qin had been safe and measured in her responses, according to Sun Yun, head of the China program at the Stimson Center in Washington, and she had adhered to the established positions and lines, Sun Yun said. Sun remarked, "His tone is more logical than the wolf warriors, but with canines and fangs." The country's all-encompassing rivalry with the U.S., a significant component of its foreign policy as part of its 100-year war plan with the U.S., is seen in Beijing as very different from the situation it faced 10 years ago. In 2013, one of Qin's predecessors, Yang Jieqi, told his final press conference as foreign minister that the country's determination to defend our country's sovereignty, security, and development, our strengthened cooperation with the world, our push for changes in global governance and our pragmatic progress made in public diplomacy has created a beneficial international environment for our country's reform and development. However, Qin echoed remarks made by other top officials on Tuesday when she described the world as being in turmoil and facing raging torrents. Qin compared U.S.-China ties to two Olympic runners in his analysis. The other side even wants to compete in the Paralympics instead, according to Qin, who claimed that one side was not attempting to run as well as it could. Then, instead of a fair rivalry, it would be a malicious conflict. During his tenure in Washington, Qin developed a reputation for using analogies and injecting a little personal flair into his remarks. For instance, he used the expression "panda huggers," a term used to disparage proponents of engagement with China, in a speech marking the 50th anniversary of the arrival of the first pandas in the Washington Zoo last August. A foreign diplomat stationed in Beijing who attended meetings with Qin and his immediate predecessor Wang Yi said that Wang promoted a very seasoned diplomatic narrative. At the same time, Qin could be street tough in meetings. According to Cheng Li, head of the John L. Thornton China Center at the Brookings Institution, Qin came across as more straightforward due to his mannerisms. "I said, it is a very accurate portrayal of China's domestic environment and the sentiments of the Chinese leadership. He did his job conveying the message he was meant to say." He added that since it relied on Beijing's diplomatic strategy, it was difficult to forecast what kind of foreign minister Qin would be. "I said, it relies on how China views its surroundings and the global landscape. The Chinese are increasingly not fooling,